This is the Grade 1 Mission 1 overview for Zearn Math. The same would be true of Eureka Math, but it would be Module 1 overview. They're the exact same curriculum, so it works for both. We are adding and subtracting small numbers. The central focus of this mission is fluency of addition and subtraction facts to 10. The progression of this mission starts with focusing on counting on, so really revisiting some kindergarten concepts, switching from counting all to counting on. Hopefully by first grade students are counting on, which means if you add 3 plus 2, they start at 3 and add 4 to 5. Instead of having to count 3 plus 2 would be 1, 2, 3, and then 2 more, 4, 5. So move them to counting on. Kindergartners should come in with this skill. They also should come in with fluency with facts to 5. But you need to check those just in case they don't have them, and you need to spiral those skills, which we'll talk about more later. Then we move into working a little bit with equivalent expressions, maintaining the focus within 5, just some intro to algebra stuff and equivalency. Then we move into working on fluency with addition facts to 10. So here's where it really starts into the first grade material. Then topics move into strategies for subtraction. There are 3 strategies that I saw: unknown add-ins, decomposition, fact families that they introduce, and then start working on, at the very end is really where they start moving towards an attempt for fluency of facts within 10, which is of course the core goal for this mission. Spiral fluencies are fluencies that should have already been attained, that you need to continue to work on, or they're fluencies that if students have not attained them, then definitely you have to work on them, because fluency of facts within 10 includes fluency with facts within 5, which should be carried over from kindergarten, but you need to continue to work on. Counting forward and backward. In fact, I think first grade standard is to count forward to 120, so you're still working on counting anyway. I also highly encourage people to continue to work on counting backwards, which I'm sure you do, but I think the counting backwards is equally important, and maybe one of the weaknesses with subtraction is students don't really understand that back and forth, and eventually numbers have directionality, so moving forward, moving backward is really a key understanding for students down the road as they approach algebra in the middle school years. And then of course moving from counting on all to counting on, that should be a goal in this first mission if they're not already there. The core fluency within the mission, so the topic in the mission that's going to become a fluency from this point on is facts to 10, where we need to move, not just be fluent with these, we need to move to automaticity, and then practicing counting forward and backward again, which I already mentioned. The foundational goal is automatic fact retrieval of facts to 10. The foundational goal is stated because it is a key learning goal to all future math. If students don't eventually achieve automatic retrieval of facts to 10, it's going to inhibit their learning from this point forward. What doesn't go away, what I mean by this slide is, what doesn't go away are things in math that we just need to continue to work on. Even past first grade, I would ask second grade teachers to continue to work on fluency with facts to 10. In other words, just review them, spiral them in from time to time. So facts to 10 we'll continue to work on throughout elementary school, frankly, and then again counting up and down, at least for a time. The special notes really apply to time, really when you're running out of time, or they will also apply with struggling learners for whom there is never enough time. And I want to key in on anchor strategies here. There are a lot of strategies for addition and subtraction presented in these missions throughout. And every strategy requires more repetition from the learner in order for them to transfer knowledge into long-term memory. There's just repetition that's required. So you have to keep that in mind, that struggling learners, or if you have limited time, then you need to narrow the scope of things that have to be rotely practiced in order to submit them to long-term memory. So focus on anchor strategies, and one that I would focus on in this mission is counting on or counting back. Like for addition, counting on is just a simple one. They can do it with their fingers, they can do it with a number line. Counting back, they could also do it with their fingers, but they could do it with a number line. Like for subtraction, there's a strategy where you draw out 12 minus 7, you draw 12 dots and cross out 7 and count the remaining. That's a good strategy too, but it's not as fluent as counting backwards, using the number line to count backwards. So that's what I mean by an anchor strategy. And really, you pick one and work on it because it's the rote repetition they need in order to approach fluency. Of course, the end goal is automaticity with facts, but until they get there, that's why I mention an anchor strategy. They use counting on defined unknown as subtraction strategy. So this is a common strategy for subtraction. Perfectly fine. I think it's a good inquiry-based method. Definitely works. One of my concerns with strugglers is that the strategy could be confusing because it includes moving forward instead of moving backward. And like I mentioned with the counting backwards, I think that directionality in math is important, that they understand there's a forward, there's a backward, there's two directions. That'll help them later on. So I really would recommend, again, as an anchor strategy, really counting back on a number line for an anchor strategy until they attain fluency.